Welcome to the SE News, your information point for latest developments in Central and Southeast European countries. Today we will focus on Poland, industrial and manufacturing, retail, commercial and residential trends. We start with industrial and manufacturing. Warehouse completions in Poland hit all-time high. Poland's inflation rate continued its upward trend, climbing to 12.4% in April 2022. The average annual price growth is expected to remain in double figures for the whole of the year and to reach 10.9%. In January-March 2022, total warehouse take-up in Poland reached 1.56 million square meters, down by 5% on the same period last year. Take-up by transaction type remained largely unchanged. New leases and expansions continued to dominate, accounting for 74% of the total leasing volume, while renewals made up the remaining 26%. Close to 1.3 million square meters of modern warehouse and industrial space was developed and delivered to the Polish market in Q1 2022. The most active development regions were Greater Poland and Lower Silesia, which saw 281,000 square meters and 216,950 square meters built, respectively. Occupier demand remains healthy, driven by companies from various sectors, including logistics, distribution, parcel delivery, retail, and manufacturing. But it's largely being fueled by the evolution of global supply chains and the need to continuously adapt them to the rapidly expanding e-commerce sector and the rise of omnichannel. In Q1 2022, developers commenced the construction of close to 1.5 million square meters of warehouse space, bringing the total development pipeline to 4.8 million square meters. Of that total, approximately 50% was pre-let. If all pending projects come to fruition within the scheduled timeframe, the total warehouse stock currently standing at over 25 million square meters will increase by more than 20% over the next 12 months. Both rising construction costs and the shrinking warehouse availability pushed rental rates up on most regional markets across Poland. The strongest year-on-year growth in prime headline warehouse rents of 60% was reported in Kraków and Tri-City. At the end of March 2022, headline rents overall ranged between 3 up to 4.30 euro per square meter per month for big box warehouses and 4.30 up to 5.50 euro per square meter per month for city logistics small business units, depending on location. Among the most significant transactions by the end of March 2022 were the purchase by Korean entity of the Amazon Swobodny BTS project from Panattoni in Western Poland. Also the acquisition by Partners Group and Peakside Capital Advisors of Cromwell White Star property portfolio in the Warsaw region, and the purchase of an investment plot in the Malopolska region by Revitas Capital from Panattoni, on which an industrial logistics property for approximately 55,000 square meters can be built. As in previous quarters, the highest tenant activity is registered from logistics, retail chains and e-commerce sectors. Initial rental rates are beginning to compete with those observed in Western Europe. Manufacturing sector is very active in Poland's warehouse market. JLL summarized another quarter in the warehouse market, analyzing the behavior of investors, developers and tenants. In Europe, the e-commerce sector gave way to the manufacturing sector in terms of demand, whose market share increased by as much as 20%. In Poland, the logistics industry and retail chains saw the most interest in leasing, totaling almost 900,000 square meters in the shape of new contracts and expansions. New supply in Poland hit a record 1,260,000 square meters, which accounted for 25% of the space delivered in Europe. More space was delivered to the markets of Poznan, Central Poland, Warsaw and Wrocław. GTV is to take more than 32,000 square meters near Warsaw. GTV, an international distributor of furniture, accessories, and LED lighting, has signed a lease for another 32,000 square meters of space at MLP Pruskov 2. The company is already occupying 20,000 square meters at the logistics center. The new building is to be handed over next April, and the transaction was brokered through XEMO real estate advisory firm. According in Poland, when we talk about residential trends, we can say a few interesting news. One of them is that Kajima completes first modular build-to-rent project in Poland. Kajima Properties has completed the development of one of Gdansk's first build-to-rent schemes. A joint venture with local investor Tonsa and Olivia Business Center, it marks Kojima's first build-to-rent project in Poland and delivers a range of units from studios to three-bedroom family apartments. The project utilizes an off-site modular construction process that halved the development period and provided significant advantages in specification and quality control. The technologies used to deliver the building lowered the amount of construction waste. Colliers is to manage PRS projects in Poland. PRS, private transit sector investments, which have been popular in Western Europe for years, are increasingly developing in Poland. In 2021, residential rental investments accounted for 0.6 billion euro of the capital invested in the country. In response to the needs of this rapidly growing sector, Colliers, as one of the first companies in the market, launched its PRS investment management and commercialization service. The first project of this kind in Colliers' property management portfolio is one of the newest investments of Atrium European Real Estate in Krakow, Krowodza district. After launching last year the living services business line, which focuses on living sector projects including residential for rent, student housing, senior housing, and residential for sale, this is another step by the company towards expanding its services for the PRS sector. Due to the increase of investments in the PRS market in Poland, currently there are more than 7,000 apartments available for institutional rental. A demand for a new service, commercialization of apartments, and investment management emerged. Also, Trey Real Estate Poland has launched its first investment in Poland in the private rented sector. The property is located in Poznan as to be ready in 2025. The developer plans to build 450 apartments, which will be available for the institutional lease formula. In the commercial area, the number of offices under construction decreased during this period from 1.1 million square meters to about 870,000 square meters. Around 600 square meters, 1,000 square meters of which were under construction in April in the regional markets. There is also a clearly noticeable increase in tenants' interest in flexible forms of lease, that is, co-working spaces and instant offices. In some locations in the country, there is a shortage of vacancies in such spaces. At the end of March 2022, office developers in Poland delivered 22 projects with a total area of 336,000 square meters, which increased the total market resources to over 12.5 million square meters. From January to March 2022, demand for modern office space totaled 433,700 square meters to 173,000 square meters leased in Warsaw and approximately 160,000 square meters in the regions. The most in transaction volume consisted of new deals, 52% in Warsaw, approximately 79 in regions, before renegotiations and expansions, 27% in Warsaw, 21% in the regions, and expansions 30% in Warsaw and 45% in the regions. the market is seeing a return to 3 and 5-year leases, with more prestigious buildings starting at 7 years and upwards. The revival in demand is reflected in the decisions of developers and owners who are more cautious about providing non-standard incentives in the form of more rent exemptions or participation in office fit-out costs. When we talk about retail, there are several news to be noted. Retail parks are a top investment now in Poland. Investors and clients in Poland are focusing on local shopping centers, saying advisory firm Walter Hertz. Apart from the warehouse segment, retail parks are experiencing their best period, thanks to the local character and the solid group of tenants, the majority of which are the largest chain operators. Retail provide investors with a stable profit. The retail real estate sector is currently focusing on projects that respond to the needs of the local community. It is focused on the construction of smaller facilities such as retail parks and convenience stores located near residential complexes where the shopping traffic has been redirected. According to Walter Hertz data, interest in commercial real estate increased significantly last year. The volume of investment transactions in this segment reached 760 million euros. And only the first quarter of this year has brought the retail sector transactions worth almost 700 million euros. According to Walter Hertz, over 420,000 square meters of commercial space is being built in the country, most of which will become retail parks. The total stock of retail space in Poland amounts to 12.4 million square meters of space, including about 2.1 million square meters, which is the backbone of retail parks and convenience centers. That were our news about Poland. Stay tuned for the next editions of the SEE News on Slovakia, Czech, Bulgaria, and Romania. See you soon.